The Tragedy of Bianca: How Social Media Enables Mental Illness. Disclaimer: this video is a video meant to spread awareness on mental health issues and take a critical analysis of e-fame culture and how social media enables mental illness. This video is meant to promote awareness of mental illness to perhaps prevent events like this from happening again. The tragic murder of Bianca Devins shows the dangers of the internet for women. A 17-year-old girl was murdered. How did photos of her death go viral? Everywhere I go, I see headlines like this. Headlines expressing concern and shock and outrage over the tragedy of Bianca Devins. However, what I don't see is the true story behind this event. What I don't see is an examination of how this happened in the first place. Everybody is looking for someone to blame, and most people are blaming men, saying it's all men's fault. Men did this. How evil. Here you can see a tweet that sums up this sentiment. Tragedies like this one are the exact reason why girls are afraid to reject guys. They fear his reaction. They fear losing their life due to a man's inability to handle rejection. So he lashes out. Stop effing taking our lives because we said no. We have every right to say no. Hashtag ripbianca. By user May. So there's a narrative right now that it's just men who are at fault. It's just men who did this. There's nothing more to the story. Bianca is a martyr. A victim. And while she certainly is a victim, I cannot bring myself to call her a martyr. Bianca had serious mental health issues that were ignored by her family, by her fans, and by everyone talking about this situation. And in order to truly examine what kind of girl Bianca was, we have to do a little bit of digging. So I have some archives, several different threads talking about Bianca and showing screen caps, backstory, comments from Bianca herself, and interactions between Bianca and her internet fans. We're going to examine them and analyze exactly what was wrong and where things went wrong. This was her profile, and I believe this is from Instagram. This is Bianca herself. Drops knife on the floor seductively. Oh no! Kicks it towards you. How reckless of me. Lies down in a vulnerable position. Oh no, looks like I... So this is basically a murder fantasy? Specifically of being murdered. And keep in mind that this is exactly how Bianca was killed. By a cringe lord with a knife. Now, I'm not saying that she wanted to be attacked. However, I am saying that the more you look into the story, the more tragic it becomes. It is clearly a tale of mental illness enabled by social media and enabled by e-fame culture. Now, what is e-fame culture? It's quite simple. These days, anyone can have access to social media accounts, especially women. And women are highly social creatures. They seek attention, they seek followings, they seek beta orbiters. And that's exactly what Bianca had. She had tens of thousands of followers, mostly male, mostly men, who she engaged and interacted with in ways that you will come to see, that were quite unhealthy, both on her side and on their side. Here you can see proof of this in some of her posts. She also went by Xanax on Discord. I have too many orbiters. I can just bounce back with twice as effing hard. You know, you mean jack shit to me. Shukun replies, don't do this. I can replace you in an effing second. Please, you are nothing. You know you don't mean that. Xanax says, I was cheating on you anyways. Never cared about our relationship. You were always here just as a plan B. As a backup when I didn't have anything better to do. I used you. So, she herself referred to her following as orbiters because that's exactly what they were. And she would regularly mess with people's emotions and, well, she just wasn't faithful. With this post alone, I think you can begin to see that she was not as innocent as people seem to think. Now, this Anon brings up a pretty good point. Heads up, she's trending on Twitter and being championed as a martyr. Hero, lol. I don't condone murder at all, but the truth of the matter is she was practically an underage prostitute. She's no hero. And as you can see, yes, it is trending on Twitter, which is part of what made me want to talk about this subject. People are acting like, oh, she was just a victim. Some random person attacked her. Oh, how could this happen? How indeed? Maybe it's the fact that we enable trying to get e-fame on the internet. We enable young girls to go on the internet, mentally unstable young girls, to build massive followings of so-called orbiters. I've heard reports that Bianca would trade nudes to people. She would basically use people for money, and that, I can't confirm this, but that she was on drugs. Where were her parents in all of this? Where were her friends in all of this? Where were all the people tweeting on Twitter when this happened? Probably saying things like, you go girl, great following, chase that fame. Everyone wants to be famous now. and nobody wants to take any personal responsibility. She also seemed to exhibit manipulative tendencies, and I'll show you an example. Here she says, "Let me break it down for all of you. I don't care what you think of me. Honestly, I could drop this all if I wanted, but I like the validation because daddy issues. Am I using people? Sure. Am I hurting them? Yeah. It may be out of selfishness, I know, but I do care about them. I help people when they're upset, and I check on them whenever possible. It's mutualism in a sick, weird way. I don't mean to hurt anyone on purpose. I just want to love everyone and be loved by everyone, because I'm too introverted and anxious to do it all in real life, even though I'm entirely capable of that." And her betas, her orbiters, they all act like that was some heartfelt, super nice statement. It clearly isn't. This girl is expressing that she has problems, and that she uses people, and that she knows she hurts people, and that she feeds the delusions of these men. These boys. So this Anon also brings up some facts of her life. 9 sexual partners by the age of 17. Lost her virginity at 14. She also sold nudes. Now keep in mind, she died when she was 17. She's been on the internet for a few years, if not more. She was selling illegal materials for money. Now there's a term for this type of woman. Typically you would call them an e-thot. But if she was selling illegal materials, it's worse than that. She was breaking the law. She literally had a beta orbiter drive her to a concert in order for her to meet a dude she was into, and she made out with him in front of the beta cuck that drove her to the concert. The beta emo is apparently the one who attacked her. Now there's some people who said that she lost her head, but really she received a slash wound to the neck area. So here in Anon, finally is the voice of reason, and this is kind of what I want to talk about. Anon says, "Shows you the dangers of the internet for women who gather a collection of mentally unstable beta orbiters, then shit on them until one snaps and kills you. Fix that a bit. Can't even talk about this in other parts of the internet. You have to praise the ground this girl walked on, or you get called an evil woman-hating monster. The guy was obviously a psycho, and she didn't deserve to die, obviously. But pretending her own actions didn't make this kind of thing far more likely is stupid. Trying to shield dumb thoughts from potential consequences for their actions is just gonna make more vapid, spoiled basic women. And some of them will end up doing things that get them effing killed." And that's pretty much my entire point with this. Here you can see her posting lewds and suggestive pics, 50 a set, tits, 80 a set, tits, 100 a set, nude body, 150, nude body shot with face, 200 a set. So she was selling illegal materials. She was underage. Keep that in mind. Now there's conflicting stories on this, but it's actually a myth that the original, like the person who did the crime, they didn't post to 4chan. They posted to Discord. Now, if you ask me, I've seen a lot of people blaming 4chan and saying, 4chan needs to be shut down, they did this. No, they didn't. 4chan is not behind this. Discord and Instagram are to blame. They're both the social media platforms that enabled Bianca and her mental illness and enabled her to get all those orbiters. If anyone's to blame, it is Instagram and Discord. So the cringe lord who killed this girl is no longer on Instagram, but here we have a picture of him. He was a very mentally unstable individual. He went by the username Yes Juliet. This was seen after he committed the crime. He posted this. "Here comes hell. It's redemption, right?" And you can see him driving on the highway. Now, I've heard conflicting reports that he tried to end his own life after he committed the crime and posted on Discord. However, I cannot confirm anything as of right now. This is a picture of Yes Juliet's account. His name was Brandon Andrew Clark. He's the cringe lord that attacked Bianca. He had 1,000 followers, and this is what I mean. You see, we live in an age where teenagers and young people can get on the internet and gain a massive following, despite being mentally unstable and needing mental health help and treatment. However, we live in a society that ignores mental health, that ignores people's issues. People are blaming toxic culture or men, saying, "Oh, men are evil, never trust men." This has nothing to do with men, with incels, with anything. This has completely to do with toxic e-fame culture. And that's what I'm trying to point out here. This is a problem about social media. Now, there's some people out there, because when I was talking about this, people were saying things like, "Nobody wants to be murdered. This is not a mental health issue. You're wrong." Well, I'm going to prove everyone wrong. She had mental health issues, and this post proves it. Here you can see. She says, "Cute. I know I am. Thank you. Yes, you are. Already learning to feed my narcissism. What mental illness do you have? She says BPD, PTSD, anxiety, bipolar, and depression. Good, now I'll feel zero guilt for being a piece of shit to you. So, by her own admission, she apparently suffered from multiple mental illnesses. Now, I don't actually believe that she was truly suffering from all of these, but even if she was just suffering from one of these, it proves that this was a mental health problem. One completely ignored by her orbiters, by her fans, and by everyone else on the internet. And these are the same problems being ignored right now. People are saying hashtag ripbianca, but they're completely ignoring that this girl probably shouldn't have been on social media, probably shouldn't have been antagonizing people, definitely had mental health problems, and is at least partially at fault for what happened. Nobody is saying that she deserved what happened to her. Nobody is saying that it's all her fault. But if you close your eyes and you cross the street, you're likely to be hit by a car. And if nobody speaks up and tells you, hey, open your eyes, look around you, be cautious, be a little bit more careful, you're not invincible. It doesn't matter how many followers you have online. You are just like everybody else. And if you run out on that highway and you get hit by a car, you will be hurt. You will suffer consequences. This is the tragic tale of a girl named Bianca. I can only hope that we learn lessons from this so that it doesn't happen again. But that's merely the obvious.